It's been a busy weekend, both on and off of the pitch, and we do now have more than a couple of big bits of transfer news to go through. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on whenever you are watching this. My name is Harvey Bell, an Ipswich Town supporting content creator on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you do enjoy today's video, please do subscribe and leave a like on the video down below. Now we're going to start with the big news that two new signings have come through the door. Let's begin with Jack Clarke. Now, we spoke about this in the last video that a deal had been agreed. Well, it has now been confirmed officially by the club that Jack Clarke has joined from Sunderland on a 5-year deal. Now, this is very important. We knew Town were in the market for a left winger with the injury to Nathan Broadhead, and Town have gone and got themselves one of the Championship's biggest prospects, a player that has scored lots of goals at Championship level, somebody that's been in that division for a long time across loan spells with Leeds, Stoke, QPR, and most prominently Sunderland, where he made a permanent switch. He's made quite the name for himself at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland fans are disappointed to see him go. He's somebody that's tricky with his feet, very quick. He's very able with his finishing as well. He's a very good finisher of the football. So he's somebody that I think is going to have a big impact at Portman Road. He's obviously a player that Kieran McKenna has been eyeing all summer. There's been multiple links throughout the summer that he was going to be joining. That's really heated up across the last week, but the deal is now over the line. It's said that the overall package is worth £18 million. I believe it to be somewhere around £15 million up front, another £3 million in potential add-ons, or at least that's what's sort of being reported. As I say, 23 years old, plenty of scope to develop, but this is already a player that comes in with lots of experience and know how to score goals. It's just a case of whether he can make the step up and do it at the highest level. Under the guideship of Kieran McKenna and joining such a squad that is young, hungry, talented, I believe he can. And having watched the game at Manchester City yesterday, I thought Darragh was absolutely superb in holding up the ball, and I feel like the wingers are going to be so crucial this season. So having a really talented winger like Jack Clarke, who can link up with Sammy Schmodix, Amari Hutchinson and Darragh, is going to be so crucial to us scoring goals this season. Really pleased to see this one get over the line. We then move on to Dara O'Shea, a centre-back who has joined from Burnley. Again, another player that Town have been linked with for quite a while. We knew Town were after another defender. It looks like we're going to be playing three at the back this season, or three centre-backs at least. Some people call that a back five. I refer to that as a back three. Dara O'Shea becomes the latest addition to that defensive setup. Good to have depth in that position. I do think he's coming in as a starter. Such is the price tag of £15 million, which I think is a little bit steep, but that's on the basis that I will be honest and say that I don't really know too much about this player. I've done some research ahead of this video. He's a player that, again, is liked by Burnley fans. He's a Republic of Ireland international, played for them 26 times, and ultimately, you don't play for your country if you're not a good player. So that's a very positive thing anyway. And Burnley, I think what's crucial about them is the fact that last season in the Premier League, they were very similar to us in trying to play out from the back. So he's used to playing a similar sort of system that Kieran McKenna will be trying to get him to play. So I think that's very important in terms of trying to get him to slot right in. 6'1", so again, not small, going to be a good aerial threat. I expect him to play in the middle. I think ultimately he's going to take Luke Wolfenden's place, which is a bit of a shame for Luke Wolfenden. But Jacob Greaves, of course, having signed for £15 million, is going to be starting in that left centre-back role. Axel Tuanzebe, Kieran McKenna obviously likes him in that right-sided centre-back role. So I do think that it's going to be in the middle of the back three that O'Shea sort of really tries to command. And that's where he's going to try and take his place in the team. And we then move on to a little bit of disappointing news, because those are the transfers coming in. And there was supposed to be one more, allegedly, Armando Broja. It was reported earlier in the week that he was very close to joining. A deal had been agreed with Chelsea. He had passed his medical, and this is where it gets a bit complicated. But the deal is now reportedly being said to be very close, or having already fallen through, which is a shame, because he's a player that I would really like to see at Portman Road, a player with tremendous skill, good finisher, somebody that I think would have slotted really well into our system, good age, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Now, The confusion is that Sky Sports, those were the days, all reported that he had passed his medical. And it is said that that is true. He did supposedly pass his medical, but there's said to be potential worries over his ACL, which haven't necessarily meant that he's failed his medical, but it's meant that Town had more concerns with him, so try to renegotiate the deal with Chelsea, or at least that's what the reports are saying anyway. That they tried to renegotiate with Chelsea to make sure that the clause for us having to buy him at the end of the season was also dependent on the amount of appearances he's made, and that deal wasn't able to go through. So Town weren't willing to take the risk at the end of the day, which makes a lot of sense because it was reported that we was going to have to pay £30 million for him at the end of the season if we stayed up. And ultimately, you don't want to be doing that for a player that might only play 1 or 2 games because he's injured all of the time. Not that that would have necessarily happened, but it is a big risk to take. And I don't really see Ipswich in a position to be taking risks at the minute. Of course, having come up to the Premier League, we're here. We want to try and make sure that we're going to stay, and we can't spend excessively. We have to spend smartly, which we have spent a lot of money this year, but all of our players that we've bought in have been very carefully considered. So I understand why this deal has fallen through. It is a little bit disappointing, but I do trust that there'll be a number of contingency plans in place. I'm sure there's a whole list of names that Kieran McKenna and Mark Ashton will go after instead. And I'm pretty sure that's all we need now is another striker, because we got the centre-back we were after. We've now got another left winger. We've, of course, made so many signings this season, and it looks like it's only a striker now that Town are after. And then I think it's business done, and maybe a couple of people leaving potentially before the deadline. Of course, only a week of the transfer window left. I think it's been a very good window. We've made some really smart signings, young signings that can all develop. We've obviously spent a lot of money. It's been a very exciting window. So yeah, I'm really pleased. Let me know down in the comments how pleased you've been with our window. Let me know how pleased you are to see Jack Clarke and Dara O'Shea come to the club. And let me know what you think about the Armando Broja deal falling through, because it is a little bit of a shame. But other than that, that's all for today. That's all there is to update you with. Thank you so much for watching. And as ever, I'll see you in the next one.